welcome to NoodlKnits. I'm Z, also known as NoodlKnits on Ravelry, Instagram, and Twitter. I don't really use Twitter that much, but who knows, maybe if you tweet me I'll start. This is episode 2. If you're a new viewer, welcome, thanks for tuning in. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. That really means a lot that you liked me enough the first time to come back for a second time. And I just hope that I can keep your attention this time. So I think I've actually kind of come up with a little bit of a way to organize this, so I'm not just like bouncing around from topic to topic. And we'll see how it works, and if I don't like it, I'll just change it up next time. So to start, I'll talk about what's off the needles. I actually finished a couple of projects this week. None of them were anything big. It was mostly just small stuff that I finished, but I did finish a couple of things. So I've got mostly baby stuff. My friend's having a baby. Like I said in the last podcast, I've got a friend who's having a baby in November, and then another one who's having a baby in December, but she hasn't found out gender yet, so I'm not knitting anything for her yet. But for the my friend who has found out gender, I've been doing a lot of knitting for her, and I'm probably not even done yet. Just baby knitting is so much fun. Anyways, I've made this for my sister-in-law for Christmas, and I know Christmas was way far off, but I just had the idea and I was like, I have to do it now, so I was really excited about it. And who knows, maybe she'll get it early, because I'm really excited about it. She may get it next week, who knows. I've already made her one of these. It's a mug cozy. I used the Quick and Basic Coffee Cozy by Andrea Piernock, and it's, I mean, really fast. I mean, you can finish one of those in under half an hour if you don't have any distractions that I usually do. So I've already made her one of these, and I made it in cream, and it's the NoodlKnits Brava. They're acrylic. That's the only acrylic I've ever liked. And I made her one in cream and embroidered it with a blue M for her birthday, an M. And so she loves it, and she uses it all the time, and she's a huge Game of Thrones fan right now. She's reading the series Song of Ice and Fire, and she's actually got me into it, and I'm reading the first book right now. So I thought I'd make her this, and I think she'll love it. I don't know, my light's a little awkward. Khaleesi. I just duplicate stitched it on. Let me see if I can. No. So Khaleesi. So I was really excited about that, so I thought I did a pretty good job, because I couldn't find any letters small enough, like letter patterns small enough, so I just had to write them out in my handy dandy graph notebook. And then for my friend who's having a baby, last week I said that I was working on, or last week I showed that I'd finished some socks, and I was working on some mitts. Well, I finished the mitts. These are Baby Mitts pattern. It's just called Baby Mitts by Susan B. Anderson. And her pattern calls for size 7 needles, size 7 double points, and worsted weight yarn. I used, it's kind of a heavy sport weight yarn from NoodlKnits. It's the NoodlKnits Comfy cotton and acrylic blend, which it's actually really soft for being a cotton and acrylic blend, and in sport weight. And I wanted to use my new sock needles, my Knitter's Pride Dreams, so I cast on 28 stitches on a 2.5, I think. I want to say 2.5 or 2. So I'll put that in my show notes. I'll double check whatever it was that I used in 28 stitches, and I had to play with that around for quite a bit, and I just made it longer than the pattern says, because since it's small yarn, small needles, I needed to make it longer. And the last thing that I finished this week, oh well, I also made another one of these for my mother-in-law whose birthday was yesterday, but I don't have it to show since her birthday was yesterday. I already gave it to her. but it was just embroidered with an eye. So the last thing I finished is for my friend who's having a baby, this adorable little garter stitch ear hat with a tassel to match the socks and mitts. The ear flaps are done using short rows, and they're really cute and simple, and then it's just got like a rolled stockinette edge to make it kind of cute. This was so much fun to do, and I just loved the pattern, and I loved making it, and I'm going to be making more. I'm going to make probably 2 for my friend who's having her baby in December. Probably a black one and then a cream one, and then whenever we find out gender, I'll do tassels. That I made out of NoodlKnits Brava, which is their acrylic. They're premium acrylic, and generally, I mean, I think like most knitters who have any sort of experience generally don't like any kind of acrylic. Well, this acrylic is actually really soft. You can still kind of tell that it's got a plasticky kind of feel, I guess. That's the only way I can explain it. But it's soft, and it's good for baby knits because, like I said in my previous episode, babies have such sensitive skin that you really don't want to use animal fibers. You want to use natural fibers or acrylics, just because those are the least likely to irritate their skin. And my son has suffered from eczema since he was 3 months old, so I just take that very seriously. I don't want any babies to have irritated skin. So I had actually got this yarn and for some projects that had been requested of me. Like there was a baby bunny, Easter bunny hat, and then the black that I used on this one I had because of someone who wanted some hand mitts, and she was older, and so I didn't want her skin to be irritated by wool or anything, because the wool I had was a little bit itchy. It wasn't merino. So I got that, and I've just been stash busting this week. I've just been using what's already in my stash. I don't have any stash enhancements this week, so I've just been using what I've already got, and just kind of burning through it so that I have room for more stash, I guess. So there's that, and like I said, it's the acrylic, but it is really soft compared to like any acrylic. I actually like working with this acrylic. It doesn't hurt my hands. It's very soft and smooth, but it does have a kind of shine to it. When you look at it, just kind of like, I don't know, and it does have a little bit of plasticky feel versus the cotton or the, or wool. But it's really good for baby knits. You don't have to worry about irritating baby skin, and it's really easy to clean and stuff. And that pattern is by Pearl Bee. It's a free pattern. Excuse me. And then on the noodles in my bag, I'm still working on my Hermione Everyday sock. Actually, still working is an understatement. I kind of took a break on it to work on some of this other stuff, because I just keep looking at this yarn and thinking it's so pretty, and I just feel like I don't know if it really deserves to be on my feet. I feel like it kind of deserves something better than that. But I was thinking the only other things that I can think of to make with it is a shawl, which I've never made a shawl, and I really, really want to make one, or a cardigan. And for either of those things, I'd have to buy more this yarn. And it's a misfit colorway, so I wouldn't be able to match the colorway, and so anything I made with this ball and then a regular ball would just kind of have a random spot that's a little too pink, unless I were to like mix it in somehow. And the only other thing I could make with just one single skein is probably like a sock head hat. And I'm not a hat person really. I just don't generally wear hats. So I used to when I was younger. I just don't really anymore. It doesn't really get that cold here in Louisiana. Maybe if we moved up north, I'd be more of a hat person, but I just am not really right now. So I wouldn't get much use out of the hat, and I don't want to give it away. I want to make something for myself out of this yarn. So since I had lost so much momentum on these socks by knitting other things and by telling myself I might use the yarn for something else, I just went ahead and ripped it out and cast back on so that I could just, it's like a brand new project. I'm not picking at something I've already started. So I'm actually just past the ripped cuff. I don't know if you can kind of tell right here, it's different. And I'm just now starting on the pattern repeats. And I made the ribbing longer this time because I had also been thinking that if I do want to do a sock, I might want to do the ribbing longer, because on my Quidditch socks the ribbing is very short and it's 2x2, and it just, I mean, it doesn't take that long of wearing it before before it starts being, or before it starts like slipping down. So I did 1x1 rib, which I really love 1x1 rib, and then I made it longer. I made it about 2 inches, I think. It might be just like a centimeter or two longer than 2 inches, but it's close enough to 2 inches. And so that is sock number 1. And these are on my US 1, which is a 2.25mm Knitter's Pride Dreams, which I love, because Knitter's Pride Dreams, because they are so smooth and just really smooth. And that's all I've got on my needles and off the needles. I feel like I was really busy all week knitting, but I mean, mostly the stuff that I got done was really small. This didn't take me very long, but it was a lot of fun. But it didn't take that long. I probably got that done on, I'm trying to think what we did this week. I probably got this done on like Thursday, because I started it on like Wednesday probably. And I don't know, I guess the beginning of the week was spent just trying to settle in, because since we had been in Arkansas, and I think, and then yesterday was Monday and today's Tuesday. Okay, so yeah, I'm just kind of out of it right now. The next thing I want to talk about is sewing, or, you know, any other kind of projects that I may start doing, crafts. I really am thinking I might want to start doing like cross stitch. I keep seeing really pretty cross stitches that I'm like, I could probably do that. And duplicate stitching, I like duplicate stitching, so I'm thinking I could probably I could do cross stitch, and I would probably enjoy that. And I've really been looking into spinning, because I think I want to be a spinner. I mean, so many knitters are spinners, and it just looks so much fun. And a funny story about that is yesterday was my mother-in-law's birthday, and so we went over to her house, and my father-in-law smoked a bunch of steaks and made really big baked potatoes, and we just had like a feast. And it was my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, who I love. She's like my best friend. She's like a sister. She's my sister. And her husband, and you know, then us and our son and their son, and my brother. And so my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, my sister-in-law's husband, Buddy, he was just cracking me up the whole day. He was talking about he just really wants to have a miniature farm, and they should get a cow and some chickens, and just also they have I think like 2 acres of land, and he just is all of a sudden just on and on about wanting a farm. I've never heard him talk about wanting a farm before. So kind of towards the end of the night, we're talking about what he should get, and I'm like, oh, you should get a dairy goat, because I really wanted a dairy goat. I know all this stuff about dairy goats now. It's just all this like useless knowledge since I don't have goats. It's just in my head, and I just found it really interesting to have like a book about having a backyard farm, and I had just read all of the stuff on having goats like 2 years ago, and it was just really interesting. So I was just spewing information to him about why he should get dairy goats and how he has to take care of them, and then it came to, he was like, well, maybe I should get sheep, and I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure it was because I was just trying to like help him out. You know, a sheep's a good idea because they graze, and he's like, you have to have a lot of land to graze. I'm like, not necessarily. You get like 3 goats, and I mean 3 sheep, and that'd be plenty, I'm sure, for your little bit of land. And I had brought up the story about, I don't remember which president it was, but there was a president that had brought in sheep or goats, and I want to say sheep, once a week to graze the White House lawns so that they didn't have to be mowed. They didn't have to hire a lawn service. And he was like, well, that's a really good idea because they have a back acre that they don't even use right now and it's just overgrown. And I think, it'd make it easier if they just got goats. They didn't have to mow it first. They just let the goats roam free, or the sheep. And then we were like, oh yeah, definitely get sheep. And I was like, and then you can shear it and me and McKenna can dye it. That's my sister-in-law. And I can spin it into yarn. And he was like, that's a really good idea. And I was like, and then I could sell it and we could just split whatever money we get from that. And the funny thing is, we kept talking about it, and I was like, you could also get an Angora goat and we could use the wool. You could get an alpaca and we could use, or you could get a rabbit. And I was just saying these things, and he's like, well, what could I do with an alpaca? And I'm like, you shear it and I use the wool. He's like, well, what can I do with a rabbit? And I'm like, you shear it, or you don't even have to shear it, you just comb it and I spin it into yarn. I mean, and that's a really expensive yarn right there, is Angora rabbit. And I was like, and if you get lambs, that yarn is more expensive because it's softer and people will pay more for softer yarn. And my father-in-law pulled up and he just hears us talking about sheep, and he's like, you know what you could do with sheep? He hadn't heard the whole conversation. He just pulls up and hears about sheep and he goes, you could shear them and give the wool to Z and she could spin it. And I'm like, we already discussed it, but I appreciate that you hear wool and think of Z. But that was just funny, and I just thought that was funny that we were talking about that, and I had been spinning, earlier that day I had been looking up how to spin yarn and how to use a drop spindle, because I think I want to get a drop spindle and learn. But I'm thinking I'll start inserting whatever other crafts I'm doing into this segment. And I enjoy sewing. I don't really have any fabric right now, but I really love cloth napkins, so all of my cloth napkins I made. So I have, and they're orange because my husband likes orange. So this is my orange floral, and this is my orange gingham. And they're just, cloth napkins are so basic. You just cut the yarn and then sew a hem on it, sew an edge. It's really basic, so that is nothing. But around Christmas time, I had been telling my best friend, that I was wanting to make a needle roll, because all of my needles are just kind of in a Tupperware thing. And I was thinking I should make a needle roll, and then I would probably make her a hook roll, but she crochets, she's a hooker. So I was telling her, maybe I'll make you a crochet hook roll and I'll make myself a needle roll. And she said, well, don't make yourself one. You're gonna make me one, I'll make you one. And that was our Christmas exchanges. I gave her a hook roll and she gave me a needle roll. So I don't have my hook roll. Obviously I gave it to her and she's using it. And what I had done was it's pretty easy to make a needle or hook roll, but that was my first ever sewing project, and I felt like I did a pretty good job. But I just did a long rectangular piece of fabric and then a liner and an inside piece of fabric that was a different color. It was like a floral to do the pockets. And then I made a fastener out of that same floral, different color fabric. For the most part it was out of navy, just plain cotton. And I put a button strap, and then I sewed a giant purple button on the outside. So it was a button closure. Well, she makes me, this is the one that she made me, and I like pink, so it's like this pink kind of scallopy floral kind of thing, and then she used a ribbon closure. And then on the inside it's black, and it's just kind of a straight needle organizer, so I've got everything just kind of shoved in here. And then she had crocheted an elephant applique that she put on the back. If I can't, I'm gonna have to take stuff out to show you, but because I love elephants, it's my favorite. And so this is it, and it's got pockets along the bottom that are really short. I've just got two really like 16-inch circular stuff done in there, and I love it, and I use it all the time. And actually, for Christmas, my mother-in-law had got me a bunch of stuff that she thought I could use. Like, she got me a box for my yarn, my stash. It's my knitting box, because it doesn't just have yarn in it. It's got a pattern book and a couple of other things, but she got it for me to keep yarn. And then she also got me this like tall skinny box with a rounded top that my grandmother-in-law was saying is probably for a bottle of wine, which I could see, but she got it for me to put my needles in, my knitting needles. So I actually just keep my needle roll in there because I like the needle roll because the needles don't get tangled up. But I'm thinking I'm gonna make myself, get some fabric and make myself a circular needle roll just for my fixed circulars. I have a lot of fixed circulars because this one really isn't made for that. And then I'll just keep using this one for the few straight needles I have, and then DPNs, my big DPNs. And then I'm thinking I might, since I'm starting to kind of get some interchangeables, I'll make an interchangeable case. But I've been thinking about selling lately, like what things I can sell, and I kind of do some sales of knitted goods to friends and friends of friends and family and stuff like that. But I was thinking if I started an Etsy shop, which people keep telling me to do, and I've been thinking about for a long time, but I've been thinking if I started a shop, I wouldn't just want to have knitted stuff because I just don't think it would sell all that great. But I've been thinking if I really enjoy sewing, if I sew things and put in there, that might get a little bit more sales. And I stay at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'd like to sell in order to at least support my crafting. So whatever, so that I at least have money for yarn and fabric and stuff like that, even if it's so that I'm not so much using our paycheck money that's supposed to be going to bills and food and stuff. So I keep thinking that I want to sell, and now I'm thinking that maybe I want to sell maybe whatever few knitted goods, but mostly sewn things. Like I could sell needle rolls, and non-knitters and non-crocheters could even purchase needle rolls and use them for, like, because I have a friend who's a makeup artist, and she could probably use it to hold makeup brushes and stuff, and who knows. And I've been thinking about making project bags because like I said last time, have a weird project bag addiction right now, and I've been really wanting to make myself a project bag, and I just so I kind of want to make with my own design, make myself a project bag and then send one to my friend who crochets, and maybe if I get good at that, I could do that and sell those. I just keep thinking, like, how am I gonna make it unique? I want to add a strap so that you can carry it while walking, but I haven't decided if I want to do a strap at either end of the zipper so that you just slip it on this way and your bag sits level, or if I want to do a strap on the back of the zipper, like right in the middle where of the zipper, so that you hang off and then it kind of hangs open a little bit. But I think I want to do something like that for knitting and walking. I just haven't quite decided yet. I just want to make it unique, and I think I definitely want a zipper. I like zippers pulls right now, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see what I decide, but that'll probably be down the road. If I start selling anything, it'll be needle rolls right now. Sorry, my husband just came out, got his inhaler. But since I already know how to do needle rolls, and I can just perfect that and sell those. We'll see how it goes. I just haven't quite decided yet. I haven't really put any plans into motion. That's just kind of what I'm thinking I want to do. And even if I had started doing project bags, you know, people could buy them for makeup bags and stuff like that. So it's just something that I've really been toying with the thought of lately, and I just haven't put anything in motion yet, or really made any plans, but maybe. We'll see. As I said earlier, I don't have any stash enhancements this week. Sad panda. But I have been burning through, or not burning through, but I have been kind of just going through and using some of the stash that I've already got to make baby things, because I'm really on like a baby knitting high right now. I'm just really enjoying making baby things. And this Friday, I'm going out of town, and I'll be gone for 2 weeks. First, I'm going to Dallas for just the night, and then I'm taking the train to Oklahoma to see my family, my mom and dad, and my siblings. I have a lot of little siblings. And I'm going to be taking some yarn that I got when I first started knitting, and some stuff that I got for free from a family member who, you know, she's thought it was such a good sale, she couldn't pass it up. So I'm going to, be taking my needle roll with all of my needles in it and some of that yarn. I still have like 2 or 3 unopened skeins of it's from Michaels. It's like Loops and Threads Impeccable. No, it's not Impeccable. It's like Loops and Threads Homespun or old fashioned, something like that. It's quite variegated and it's bulky yarn, but it's really fluffy. So there's like a string through it, and then you can see all of this like fluff of yarn wrapped around the string, so it's attached, I guess. I don't know, but it's really fluffy yarn. And I had used that for Christmas because it's not terrible. It's acrylic. It's not terrible to knit with though. I mean, it's fluffy and soft. So I used that to make a bunch of hats. I made 5 hats out of that. 3 of them were striped hats, and then 2 of them were solid hats. And I've got a bunch of different colors. I've got like a really dark gray charcoal color, and a really bright robin's egg blue color, and then a purple, and a cream, and then a red. And I used the red to make my mom, a really big chunky cow, which she likes. She loves red, so that was, I saw that and immediately thought that I had to make that for her. And so I still have quite a bit of that left. She got me 2 skeins of each, and they're very large skeins. So I still have quite a bit of that yarn, and then some Loops and Threads. I think that was Impeccable, what I bought whenever I first started knitting. And I still have like 1 whole ball, like thick ball of the burnt orange color that I got. And then I think I still have some pink, and then I have some black. And I'm just thinking I'm going to take those and teach my siblings to knit. My dad thinks that they might be interested in knitting. They might be interested in learning. And I don't mind if it doesn't stick. But I would like to teach them. Even if it doesn't stick, it's not that big a deal. I learned to knit when I was really young, and it didn't really stick until recently. I think, to do, I guess that's really it. But I think that's what I'm going to do. So no stash enhancement. But I'm thinking that there's a nice little yarn shop. I think it's called Yarn Market or Yarn Mart or something like that. Fairly close to my dad's house. And like right down the street from where he goes to church. So I'm thinking I'll probably go there when I'm gone for the 2 weeks. And maybe see what there is. I don't know if I'll actually buy anything, but see what they've got. I might just see if they've got... I'm really wanting to try the Knitter's Pride carbons, and I might see if they've got some of those so that I can start, and I'll buy like a size 1 or 1.25 millimeter to start, or not 1.25 millimeter, I'm sorry, a size 1 or 1.5 needle, US 1 or 1.5, to start a Cozy Memories blanket, because I've got sock yarn scraps now. So, I don't know, I might have stash enhancements in 2 weeks. I kind of wanted to talk about the tea that I'm drinking, because I think if you're not drinking this tea, you should try it. So this is my can, and this tea, if you're buying online, you buy your cans separate. There we go. This is Vivons Latte. And this is my tea label. It's Big Ben, which is their English breakfast, sorry. It's really good tea. And it's loose tea. I like loose tea. And then I just use my monkey infuser that I got for my birthday. He's cute. He's tea stained now. I use him like every day. This is from Palais de Thé. Palais de Thé. Palais de Thé? It's de Thé, sorry. Palais de Thé. I have a website. They have a lot of different kinds of teas. Just a lot. It's amazing. And for my birthday, I had actually gotten this mug, the monkey infuser, and a canister of their tea, but it was a Christmas blend that I haven't been drinking because it tastes like Christmas. But it's a green tea with cloves and cinnamon and all these different flavors that make it taste like Christmas, and it really does. You smell it and you're just like, ooh, Christmas. So I just haven't been in the mood to drink it right now. But I actually got all 3 of those things from my dad for my birthday, and I opened it and I was like, this is the best birthday present anyone could have ever gotten in the whole world. I was just really excited about it, and I even sent pictures of it to my sister, and she was like, wow, he did a really good job. And I was like, I know. So I was just really excited about it, and I still am. I mean, I use the monkey infuser in my cup every day. My cup says, make tea, not war. I think I showed you guys last week. Make tea, not war. But I was just really, really excited about it, and I still am. This is my mug. Nobody is allowed to use this mug, except for me. I have lots of other mugs that y'all can use. Do not use my mug. And, my sister-in-law had come over, and I was like, eat her tea, and she's like, is this my mug? I was like, no, that's the tea I made for myself. That's my mug. And she's like, sorry. But, I think that if you like tea, you should try Applique de thé. I don't know if they make bags. Like I said last time, they do make bags. They're really luxurious bags, because they are like they're like made of cheesecloth, so they're like cloth bags with string tied to it, and not like it's a threaded string. They're really classy bags. Because I got some when you order tea, they'll send you like tea bag samples, and I was just like, dang, look at these tea bags. These are like high-class tea bags, probably cost $1 million a bag. I mean, they're classy. But they have some other teas that are really good that I've tried as their samples. And one of them is a vanilla rooibos, which was actually really good. It's a good dessert tea though, since it's vanilla. It kind of has a sweetness to it. And so it was vanilla rooibos. It was in French. So vanilla was spelled V-A-N-I-L-L-E. So it's French. And they have, like in my cabinet right now, I've got a peach tea or something. I don't know if it's peach or apple. And they've got an apple tea. That's an apple black tea. And they've got a couple of other things that are all just really good. From what I've tasted, there's not really anything that I haven't liked so far. But they have like a whole big selection of black teas and green teas, and just go on there, and they've got just like each section is marked out, and you can like go through and pick what you want. Sorry, my son is awake. I'll deal with him. Sorry. My son came out, and when he wakes up by himself, he's kind of scared. He wanted a granola bar. Anyways, so yeah, I would highly recommend this tea, and if you like tea, I would look into it. They aren't terribly priced. The only thing is that you have to pay shipping, and shipping kind of makes your overall cost a little bit much, but I feel like it's worth it for good tea, and it lasts a while. I mean, one of these canisters lasts a good bit of time. I got this like when we first moved, or back in January, at the end of January, early February, I'm not sure, and I don't think it was ever full all the way to the top, but one thing is though, you do have to, if you're ordering online, you buy your canisters separate from your tea, because they are reusable canisters, and then the sticker comes off of the pouch. So if you don't mind having your tea in a pouch, it's a Ziploc pouch. I mean, it's resealable. That's fine. I just like having a canister. Okay, I guess that was, that's it. That's all I had, like, on my itinerary. But, I guess I could. Last time I didn't really introduce myself, so I guess I could tell you guys a little bit about myself. I, learned to knit from my grandmother when I was about 13. I think I had to have been about 13 because my little brother was only about a year, and we had got to see her this time, and it was nice too. We spent like a week or two at her house, and she quilts and knits. So she's crafty. So, and the funny thing is, my grandfather's kind of crafty too, in a manly kind of way. He makes like fishing lures. It's kind of cool. But we had gone, and I had wanted to learn to knit, so she had taught me basic knit and purl. I don't think she taught me how to cast on or anything, but she taught me basic knit purl stitches. And so I kind of got to work making something really plain, like a garter stitch scarf or something, and I left it there. It was her needles and her yarn, so I didn't get to take it with me. But a couple years when I was about 15 or 16, I was helping my mom dig through a closet or something, and found some knitting needles and yarn that she never used. I actually still have that yarn. I think it's like Red Heart. I'm not sure. Just never used it, so I still have it. And I started knitting on that, knitting again, garter stitch scarf, and every once in a while I would do like a line of purl or something to make it kind of look like it had stripes, like in texture. I don't know, it was really boring. And I think that's why I never really got into it, because I was working on something that was really boring and I didn't realize how far knitting went. Like, I didn't realize that there were circular needles or that you could make this and that, and I didn't really know what else to do from there, and I didn't really have access to like figuring that out. So then about a year and a half ago, my sister-in-law was pregnant, and something had sparked her to want to start crocheting, and she hadn't crocheted since she was young, like a lot younger. And so she had gone out and bought some yarn and a crochet hook, and she was crocheting, and I was like, oh, I should pick up my knitting. And I started knitting again on that same scarf thing, and I was like, this is really boring, like what else can I do? So I started like looking around on the internet, like what can I make, and found sorry, my son wanted me to open the rest of his granola bar. So I had picked up this thing and started looking around. I don't remember what I was trying to find to make, but I remember finding a video to make these spiral scarves, which spiral scarves shouldn't be that hard. And this spiral scarf, I bought these really cheap plastic cord circular needles. I mean, I still have them. Cheap plastic cord, not flexible. I mean, whatever. I got the longest one that I could find. I think I ended up having to get a longer one for, I don't know why I got the long one for, but I mean, I guess it's flexible, but it's, I don't know, wiggly, I guess, but, you know, aluminum needles. And something I'll never use anymore, but I'm keeping, because I bought it, and I need to figure out something to do with it. But then I ended up getting some, I think the next pair of needles I ordered online was these Chalgu red lace, which I liked these. I liked that there was an angle on the needle when it connected to the cord. And the cord isn't really all that flexible, like compared to some cords, but they're really sturdy. So they're, I don't know, I guess good for really heavy projects. But anyways, I had found this spiral scarf pattern, and it wasn't even a pattern, it was a video tutorial. And she was, I don't know, it just wasn't the best way to do a spiral scarf, I don't think. She basically had you, I think, just do increases every so often. And it was kind of a pain, because after a while you have like 1,000 or so stitches and your scarf isn't even that long. I mean, I was making things that were like this long, and all you can do is tie it in a knot right at your neck, and it's just gonna sit right there at your neck. And I mean, she had a picture of this really long scarf, and I was like, how is she doing that? And I just couldn't do it. So the next thing I made was this scarf, or cowl, sorry. And it was the first time I'd ever actually made anything in the round, so I ended up putting a twist in it, which is kind of irritating when I'm wearing it. I know lots of people put twists in their cowls so that they have that natural twist to them, they don't have to work at it, but this one is actually long enough for me to twist and put on again to make it tight right at my neck. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of annoying to have the twist in it. And I mean, it's kind of irritating, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it was my first time making anything in the round, and this is my break into merino yarn, merino wool. And I think I used Valley Yarns something in some kind of rose color. It was like dusty rose or faded rose or something like that, but it's this cowl, and it's the honeycomb cowl or something like that by Madeline Tosh Yarns. That's who released it. And I mean, you can tell, I mean it's got snags, and that's not from me knitting it. That's from, like, I don't think I was knitting it very tight at all, and we've moved since then, and my son has driven cars on it, little race cars, and I mean, you can tell right here, there, if I stretch it out, there's like 2 knit rows in a row on accident, where as all the rest of them, it's like a knit row and then a row with slip stitches in it. But I do wear it, because I mean, I was really proud when I finished this project. It's the first project I've ever finished that was like actually good and worth something. I don't remember what I made next after that. I started working on hats. I like doing hats. I just discovered that I really loved working in the round, and I just kept doing big things in the round, hats and baby things. So not big, but you know, but just stuff like that was mostly what I was doing. And I was buying yarn online, and that's mostly what I did for Christmas, was hats. And then I was doing washcloths. I discovered that, because one time my mom had made washcloths that were they were very pretty, but they just weren't worth anything to like wash dishes with. I hated washing dishes with them. And I think the reason, I don't know for sure, because I don't know what yarn she used. I don't actually know, but I think she probably used acrylic yarn, and as anybody knows, it's not good for washing dishes. And I was like, well, I kind of want to make washcloths, but they're all gonna be terrible, because I was thinking of those one washcloths, because I wasn't for sure what she had used. So I go online and I'm looking around at what am I supposed to use to make washcloths, and it says cotton, just straight cotton yarn. So funny thing is, I ended up making washcloths, and now all I use in my kitchen are handmade washcloths, hand knit washcloths, dishcloths. I've tried a lot of different patterns, and I've just kind of stumbled on one that I love. But so Christmas was mostly hats and stuff like that, boot cuffs for one person or 2 people, and it was just a lot of fun to be able to knit everybody's Christmas presents. I actually crocheted, I'm not a crocheter, but I actually ended up crocheting a lanyard for an electronic cigarette, and now he needs a new one because he got a new electronic cigarette that's bigger and doesn't fit my lanyard anymore, so he's using an older lanyard that he already had that's breaking. But that was just a lot of fun for me to be able to crochet people stuff for Christmas and give it away, and I get a lot of pride in that, like in finishing things and seeing people use them. So I have known how to knit for a long time, but whenever I started again, I had to go on, I kind of taught myself, because I had to go on YouTube and figure out how to cast on, and figure out how to do different stitches, figure out how to do increases and decreases, and how to bind off, and what to do with those ends when you're done with it, because you don't want to tie knots in it. Had to learn how to weave in ends, and I stumbled upon Ravelry at some point and just really loved that. That was just amazing. Spent a lot of time on Ravelry, and but I just love it now. And it's kind of funny because my family all knows Z's the knitter, and everybody gets sick of hearing Z talk about it. Anyways, I think I went off on that tangent because I was talking about teaching my siblings to knit. And I have a lot of siblings, but my oldest little one is 9, or almost 10, I think she'll be 10 in like July at the end. So I think, and she's pretty creative, and she likes quite similar things that I do, so I think she might be interested. And the other 2 will probably, which are 7 and 5, I think, or 6, they'll be interested once they see that Ethnie's learning. They'll want to learn too. And so I don't mind teaching. I think it'll be fun to teach them, but I'm not going to teach them to knit flat. I'm going to teach them on hats or something. You know, get them started with something that's interesting and fun and be like, well, here's a hat, you know, work on that, or just something with something that's not just plain garter stitch, because I think that was really what turned me off, was that was so boring and I didn't know how to do anything else, and I didn't really have a way to figure out what else I could do with this. And I think if I had known, that would have been great. That would have been something that I could sit in my room and do, and it was creative, and I could make things for my friends, and I could have done it at school at lunchtime, or, you know, between classes, and it would have just been good. And I really think that I think up until now, up until recently, I've been telling people I didn't have enough patience for it before I had my son. But I don't really think that's what it is. I think it's that when I started, it was so boring to just do a plain garter stitch in a rectangle. That was nothing. That was boring. And so once I learned how to do other things, I learned how to do other stitches, and I learned how to do hats. That was really what kicked me off. And now I can do socks and mittens and all kinds of things, and that's really where I've done a sweater. I mean, that's like, once I learned what I could do and how to do it, that's how I really got interested in it and really took off with it. So I think if I had had those resources when I was in high school, I really would have enjoyed it then. I would have been knitting a lot longer. But I just didn't have that. So I think I'm going to teach my siblings, so that if they do enjoy it, then it's not something that, you know, when they're like 16 or 21, they look back and they're like, well, I wish I had, you know, been knitting this whole time because I enjoy it so much now. So I'll probably teach them how to make hats or socks or something, you know, interesting, because you need something interesting to draw your attention to something that is fun. I mean, you can't start with the boring basics and expect to enjoy it. So that's a whole long tangent that I just went on. But really, that was it for chatter. I guess I don't really have anything else to chatter about other than I am going out of town at the end of this week. I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning on Friday and get in the car, because me and my sister-in-law are driving together, and we have to drop my brother-in-law off for drill, and so we have to get up really early and to do that, and we'll get into Texas about, I want to say probably about 8 or 9, just depending on what it's not that long of a drive to get to Dallas, but I'm saying, like, if there's, you know, stops along the way, and so if the kids wake up and want to eat or something. And then I'll be in Dallas until Saturday evening, and then I'll take the train to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been getting a lot of storms, so it'll probably be really wet there. And then I'll be there for 2 weeks, just spending time with my mom and my dad and all of my siblings. And like I said, there's a yarn shop over there, so hopefully next week I'll have some kind of yarn enhancements or something. We'll see what I have. Maybe I'll have started a Cozy Memories blanket, which I'm really wanting to start right now. So, I have no idea. Maybe I'll have my socks done and be on another pair. Just gotta see. I don't know, see how the flow goes. And, that's all I have for chatter, though. I won't be filming an episode for 2 weeks because I'll be out of town. I don't know, my dad has a pretty good computer over there, so I might do one, and we'll just see. It'll just depend on how the weekend, or how the 2 weeks are going, the little vacation is going, and what they need help with, and how much time I've got for different things. So, but probably not. Probably. You can find me at Instagram. I said this at the beginning, but you can find me at Instagram, Ravelry, and Twitter, and also I have a Facebook page. Please like me, add me, follow me, be my friend. It's NoodlKnits, NoodlKnits. There's no E in noodle. And you can find my blog and show notes at noodleknits.wordpress.com. And you know, I'm here. You can always find me here. I'm here for you whenever you need me. Just please tune in next time, and have a great 1 to 3 weeks. Bye.